Let's close off this episode with the Pittsburgh Steelers, probably the last time that we will see the Steelers go last on this show for quite some time because, well, outside of next Tuesday's episode, this is the final recording before training camp starts in the Trope. And I keep saying it time and time again. It's just because I'm excited. So let's look at this season from a different point of view. Let's look at it by talking about 5 players, in my opinion, that will define the Steelers season in 2026. At number 5, I have Darnell Washington. And his inclusion on this list might not go over well with some Steelers fans because of some of the names that, quite frankly, didn't make the list. But the Steelers with Darnell Washington versus what they looked like without Darnell Washington in that final week against the Ravens and in the playoffs against the Texans, it was staggering, the difference. Last season, Darnell Washington, I mean, when you want to define a breakout season for a tight end, you just open the dictionary and you point to Darnell Washington's picture because it's going to be right next to that definition. 31 receptions, 364 yards, and 1 touchdown in 16 games. And I know the counting stats don't sound all that sexy. But let's not forget, that 1 touchdown is because a lot of the time, Kenneth Gainwell was stealing everybody's touchdowns last year. Not only that, Darnell Washington, it felt like, was the go-to on 2-point conversions that just doesn't show up in the stat sheet. You look at what he's able to do when he's healthy, when he's utilized correctly, which he finally was for the first time last season. He changes games with his size and his strength. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 defenders to take him down, certainly if it's a second member of the secondary that's trying to take him down. And that is so important for Aaron Rodgers, so important for this Steelers team, specifically on third down, that all you have to do sometimes on a 3rd and 5 is dump it to Darnell Washington 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he's going to get you those last 3 because, well, it takes about 6 yards for somebody to actually get him on the ground. He changes the entire outlook of drives whenever he just bowls through the defense the way he was able to on countless occasions last year. So yeah, I do think that Darnell Washington is one of the most important members of this Pittsburgh Steelers offense going into the 2026 season. At number 4, speaking of the offense, we're going to stay on that side of the ball, but we're going to go to the trenches. At number 4, Zach Frazier. He is the leader of the most impactful position group of the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is this offensive line going to be? That's one of the biggest question marks that surrounds this team, because everything else you can kind of look at and say, all right, there's expectation there because we've either seen it before or that's where the trajectory is heading. The Steelers' offensive line has not been able to pick up a whole heck of a lot of momentum because they've been changing and moving and adapting so frequently over the past couple of years. The first episode of Burgh Breakdown, what did we talk about? We talked about how Troy Fautanu was moving over to left tackle, how Mason McCormick was moving, how the biggest position battle is right tackle between Dylan Cook and Maxi Honachor. This offensive line has not had a chance to build chemistry, build consistency, and really build a resume together over the past several seasons. But individually, Zach Frazier has been able to do a lot of those things. He is quickly ascending to become one of, if not the best centers in the entire National Football League. So the biggest question for me when it comes to him is, can he get his group to finally click? There's one clip that, sticks in my memory when thinking of the Hard Knocks in season with the AFC North. What did Mike Tomlin say? And I understand Mike Tomlin's not with the Steelers anymore, but what did he say to Cam Hayward going into halftime of one of the games that they were featuring on that show? Hey, get your group together. We need you guys in the second half. Cam Hayward's the leader of the defensive line. Zach Frazier is the leader of that offensive line. He needs to lead by example in the way that he plays, and he just needs to lead in general as the center of that unit, as the guy on the Steelers offensive line. He holds an incredible amount of importance to what this line, and then transversely, what this team is going to be in 2026. At number 3, nothing changes a game like a shutdown corner, especially in the AFC North. So Joey Porter Jr. is my number 3 for the most impactful Steelers. The 5 players who will define this season, Joey Porter Jr. is up there. I mean, there's a reason that we're talking about, is he going to be top 10 paid cornerback in the league, top 5 paid, highest paid cornerbacks in the league by the time the season starts in September? You look at the wide receivers that the Steelers are facing. Let's just go from weeks 1 to 3. Week 1, Drake London. Week 2, A.J. Brown. Week 3, Jamar Chase. That's just a small sample size of the importance of having a guy that can shut down opposing wide receiver ones. Joey Porter Jr. last year was able to do that in a heck of a lot of instances. You need to be able to limit top guys in this league, and that's why he's going to hold so much importance, so much impact on the 2026 Steelers. At number 2, I already mentioned him once. He's the leader of the defensive line, and that's Cam Hayward. Because the Steelers defense, as with most defenses in football, it all starts with stopping the run. And stopping the run for the Steelers defense all starts with Cam Hayward. The defensive front is very talented. Derek Harmon, I expect to have a huge season. If he can stay healthy and stay on the field, he's probably going to show you why a lot of people see him as the heir apparent to Cam Hayward. Y.A. Black and Keanu Benton, I have high expectations for. I thought it was a really good addition bringing in Sebastian Joseph Day to be a nice depth piece for the Steelers and just bolster that defensive line. But Cam Hayward is the heartbeat of not just that unit, but really the entire Steelers defense. If he's off, they're off. If he's on, look out. Because I think the Steelers defense is going to finally start to live up to some of those external expectations that have been heaved upon them for the past several seasons. Cam Hayward is where it all begins for that side of the football. So he holds the highest importance from that side of the football. And number 1, there's not a whole heck of a lot that goes into this one. It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the top player that is going to define the Steelers season in 2026. Listen, I like Will Howard. I personally like Drew Aller, but I'm aware that he's probably not going to see the field at all this year. I'm intrigued to see how that project pans out, but I think we all know that if Aaron Rodgers goes down, the man that we should see is Will Howard. I believe in him. I like him. I don't like him enough to believe that the drop off isn't extremely drastic from Aaron Rodgers to Will Howard. I think Howard might be able to hold the line for a game, 2, maybe 3, similar to what we saw from Mason Rudolph back at the end of the 2023 season. But anything more than that, and let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers is over the age of 40, which you hate to say it, but football is a very, very physical sport, and there's a reason not many quarterbacks play that long. Anything more than 2, maybe 3 games of an absence from Aaron Rodgers, and this season is going in a completely different direction. So almost by default, you have to have Aaron Rodgers at number 1, at least in my opinion. I do think that if, at looking back at number 4, if Zach Frazier and his unit can do what kind of the expectations are of them when it comes to a unit that is so talented and so young, then yeah, I think the ceiling is raised for this offense going into 2026, and Aaron Rodgers is a big part of that.